So this is how you edit an account in the chart of accounts in QuickBooks. So if I go to the little gear in the top right, I can get to my chart of accounts in the first column there. I can also get to my chart of accounts by going to accounting at the bottom here. That's another way to access the chart of accounts. Once I'm in my chart of accounts, I've got a list of posting accounts here, and against any of these posting accounts I could make a change. So if I go on here and just find an account, so I've got travel expenses here that we can look at, and if I wasn't happy with the expression travel expenses, I could actually go into the drop down at the end of the line, click in there, and I can edit that particular account. So I've got various options when I click on edit. I could edit the type of account, so if it wasn't an expense account, I'd pick the wrong category to start with. I could change it and it could become an asset, liability or income account. In this case it obviously is an expense account. I could change my detail type, but here in the UK we don't get too concerned with reporting by detail type, so that's not really a significant setting for me to consider. But here I've got an option of changing the name, so I could change the name travel expenses to travelling, or any terminology I might want, and if I resave it with that name, it will update the account, and all the transactions linked to that old name would now be under the new name. So you've got to be careful if you're renaming it. It can be a dangerous world. Do check what postings you've got in there. If you're using numbers on your chart of accounts, you'd put the number in there, and equally you can edit an account by making it a sub-account of another account by ticking in the box there and picking the parent account. We can also pick a default VAT code if we want to put a VAT code that would appear every time we pick this particular heading, particular category as we're posting transactions in QuickBooks. So this is where you can do an edit of an individual transaction type, an individual category in QuickBooks. If I save and close that, that will have updated now to the new name, travelling expense, in here. If I want my full chart of accounts back, I just take that filter off and it will give me all my accounts back in here. There is another way of doing some mass changing, but you have got to be very, very careful here, because we don't want to rename something where we've got postings that could be affected. So do be careful what's been posted in already, but I have got a batch edit button at the top there. Again, I would put a word of warning against using that, but if I click on there, it will enable me to put a numbering sequence in here. So it is a quick way of adding numbers, but also a quick way of changing the name on a particular account. So the first two columns there, the numbers and names, can be bulk edited through that particular little pencil mark there in our chart of accounts. So that's changing, editing in the chart of accounts.